Now we're turning our attentions back to Cal Poly SLO versus Carleton University. We do have a side swap here as the series does continue on. So it'll be Cal Poly on the blue side, Carleton having to defend on that red side. I'm curious to see how that is going to impact the draft of game number 2, as we do have the players ready to just launch straight into it.
So I go.
See if they still ban away the same champions, or, you know, we might see a little bit of new focus placed on say, the Zaya Rakan, which caused a lot of headaches. If they don't want to see that Akali again, obviously that would probably wait till the second round or so. But the Shen off the table regardless.
I think that's actually a pretty good ban, right? So the interesting thing about Shen, specifically, is he fulfills much the same purpose as Tahm Kench does, right? He turns fights that are previously 1v1s or 2v2s into a 3v2, a 2v1, right? That's what the champion does himself. So what they're going to do here is they're going to ban out the Shen, they're going to ban out the Rakan, they're going to leave up the Nocturne, and this is the key, they're going to leave up the Nocturne and ban the Ornn. So what that's going to allow them to do is, in the top side of the map, it should allow the range engagement to be limited to exactly just the Nocturne range. If they don't do that, which they haven't, they need to think about what they're actually doing to deal with this Ornn, right? The Ornn combo was a big reason that the Nocturne was actually effective in the early game. So, if they allow it again, they need to have a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Irelia was banned away from them in the first game last time. Not going to be the case here. Is going to be first pick worthy for East Beast. Now, meanwhile, I Will Make It wants to lock in on the Lucian. That's going to put confidence onto another support as well as Rakan off the table this game. He had a good showing with it last time, but not going to be able to this time. Means Braum is what he does. Pick up. So we'll be running that champion to ground, and we'll see now whether or not they pick up their bot lane on the side of Cal Poly. We know this is there. That's going to be actually the same run back. That's an interesting decision. Putting a lot of confidence into their solo lane, saying all things go the same way as they did last time. It's got to be the Irelia changing the tempo here, because they're not going to make any changes in the bot side.
I mean, it's an interesting choice, right? So the best thing I can say is it's an interesting choice. The bottom lane, the problem they had last go around was they didn't get the lead, right? They didn't have the advantage. They didn't get the lead. They didn't get anything that they actually really wanted out of the bottom lane. And yeah, it's Sivir. Do you need a lead? No, you don't need one. But It'd be very nice if you had one. It'd be fantastic if you could get an advantage in the bottom side of the map. Against Lucian Braum, though, maybe you don't have a choice. Maybe you really just can't actually afford all of the resources that it would take to shut that champion down. Maybe you can. Maybe it's just a single gank. Xin Zhao comes down once, the Camille interrupts the Lucian. If he falls behind, the game is over. There's no way you're winning with a behind Lucian against a Sivir and an Irelia, right? That's the real truth of the matter. So, considering the fact that they need Lucian to be ahead or even, at the very least, to win, maybe you do put some more resources down there. Maybe you say, okay, we take a jungler that can actually affect this map. We can actually go down there way earlier than previously, but they're going to need to make that call soon, right? Bans are still coming out. We still have the mid lane being targeted. Kindred's off the table. But the Ornn is banned, and that's a very good thing. So, with that off, TK top is still... it exists. It's not very good, but it does exist.
Yeah.
I think they can also potentially play another hard tank. They could potentially play the Maokai, the Scion. These are still on the table.
So this is...
J4 hasn't seen a resurgence for quite some time, but is still pretty good.
Okay, so as far as I know, I don't believe Annie's one of the placeholders.
No. Placeholders were Garen, Zillion?
Not Zillion, because Zillion was bad. I want to say it was not Annie.
Garen.
Well, okay, we'll see whether or not this happens.
Yes, we shall see.
Just marching right on along.
Camille, there we go. That's the aggressive jungler we need to see. I like the adaptation here. I like the fact that they can actually focus on the bottom side of the map and potentially shut down the Lucian, right? This is super important. Shutting down the Lucian, getting maybe a kill on the mid lane so Syndra has easy time, just, you know, Q, E, ultimate, you know, you're falling asleep while dancing the 200 IQ button. The usual, right? That sort of thing.
Okay, so Cho'Gath as well. Yeah, okay, so there's going to be some placeholders. I don't know about the Annie. I think the Cho'Gath actually might stay, unless that's just another placeholder. But I think both of those require the players not to have. So curious to see what that will end up being. I guess we'll know pretty early on. As the client out yet again, and yet again they're banning the first thing they possibly see, or sometimes fun things. So the Annie definitely not the play for Scott the Cat there, because it is banned this time around. So
I'll be
changing that one up. The Heimerdinger as well. Fun stuff to get rid of there. So top lane matchups. I'm curious to see if they're actually going to be going Cho'Gath versus the Camille. That's a pretty big question mark that I want to see how East. Not the Camille. I'm sorry. The well, yeah, it will be the Camille, because the Irelia was going to be their mid laner then. So we'll see whether or not that.
No, because they had Syndra.
Right. Okay, so Camille jungle.
No, it should be.
Irelia top, Camille jungle.
Irelia, Camille, Syndra straight down.
Yeah.
For Cal Poly.
Hopefully this isn't a mistake where they forgot to click. Sometimes a client in the new day and age of League of Legends does lag a little bit behind there, but would not be surprised to see us jump immediately ahead to having exactly what we talked about straight away. Just moving right on through, trying to reconnect.
Aha!
There we
Okay.
go. So it is the Cho'Gath. It is the Cho'Gath, and it was a Zillion who was a placeholder pick. So they actually.
I can't believe you don't own Zillion. Champ's like 1300 RP. IP, sorry.
1300 RP
Blue
would be
Essence,
very
sorry.
expensive.
No, it's Blue Essence, excuse me.
Oh, man. We're showing our age here. The old League of Legends. Pour one out. Well, with that, right? I still think I like the Camille more. I like the Camille, I like the Irelia, I like the Syndra. This is a much better top half of the map for Cal Poly. The problem is the bot half, right? The Alistar's a fantastic pick. Stop picking Sivir. A champion requires a very specific player and a very specific composition. You can't just throw it into a comp and expect it to work. You take a
you
look
need
at
it.
this comp in particular, though, and tell me if it's not better with On the Hunt being great for Irelia and Camille.
It's not.
Okay.
It's just not.
Explain.
The reason it's not is because bot lane needs to win. The way you lose is if the Lucian gets ahead, right? Sivir doesn't do anything to stop that. She doesn't have the ability to duel him early. She doesn't win out in the mid game. She doesn't stop him out of lane, right? You need, and I specify need, you have to actually have some kind of advantage coming out of this bottom lane if you want to win and you're Cal Poly.
Well, we'll see whether or not they can find that advantage for themselves here, because it's a tricky situation to put them in, because you have the Syndra that, we saw, if nothing else, great CS, great laning ability come out from Jay Chow in the last game. Should be actually a little easier, I think, to punish Scott the Cat on this Zillion than it was last game around when he had the Akali there. We'll change up to some comfort there. I'm still really curious about this Cho'Gath into Irelia. Cho'Gath, not something we see a whole ton of these days. So Filth there, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on him this game to see exactly how he does turn this one around, because that's, keep in mind, what they saved their last pick for. That was not a proxy pick of any kind. They proxied the Zillion the round before. That is communicated, of course, to their opponent, so it's not like they're in the dark about that. And then Cho'Gath is their big surprise. Like I said, just wanted to see whether or not that would be Irelia in the top for sure. And with the Camille coming in, there were some question marks. But my question mark now is, how is Filth gonna play this Cho'Gath? Well, we'll find out as we are getting ready to get right on in to game number 2. And of course, we still have the same Zoom problem, because your humble casters never learn from their mistakes, or at least I am speaking for myself, don't in situations like this. So gonna get that fixed as quickly as possible. There you go. And it's still a little off, so I gotta fine tune this. But we're on the Rift either way.
Sometimes you realize that we're not streamers, we're just casters. And cut us a slight amount of slack. Don't cut us too much slack.
Yeah, we still have to.
Because then, this is what we do, right? We do this for a while. But give us a little bit of slack. You know what I mean? Give us a little bit. You know, just tiny.
Minions have spawned.
That being said,
We'll see if any slack comes through
Game
in the
number
play for Carleton here. If they take off some of that gas pedal now, feeling like, hey, we've won the first game, we're comfortable.
gas pedal.
Or
Gas pedal.
You know, well, certainly their composition does not scream as in your face as much as the last one. Their bot lane, while still very aggressive, not quite as do or die as Desire. Certainly their mid laner facility when you compare it to the in-your-face nature of Akali. And then Ornn's initiation for fights, I think, beats out Cho'Gath just a little bit there, unless you can just land one hell of a rupture.
What do you mean Ornn? They don't have an Ornn.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Cho'Gath's... I'm comparing the
yes.
Cho'Gath pick to Ornn from last game.
Yes. Now I understand. Took me quite a bit, but the good thing is, right? Zilean in the middle lane, this champion is extremely susceptible to early game ganks, but Camille didn't go for a level 2 as far as I've seen. That is very curious. You know, Camille is still a champion that can absolutely abuse the level 2 ganks. It's fantastic with them, can absolutely win off the back of it, right? If you die to a level 2 Camille gank, your lane sometimes is just over.
Right.
So not going for it, I think, is a little bit curious. I would have expected a more aggressive play from her.
Yeah, it's something that we really want to see in an IB. Pressure's still building out. It's something that they do need to figure out quickly enough, because they can't just go by the wayside like last game. They need to find a priority here. Forward, and they'll actually push back under his tower just a little bit. Needs to be careful.
It was kind of the Camille gank that we wanted, just didn't actually do anything, you know. And maybe that's just the problem with it, right? Maybe it's just that the Camille is not aggressive enough. You know, he's not playing it aggressively enough. We can obviously see that in his play. He went top, but it was a level 3 gank, right? It was after a couple more camps. He was much more experienced up in the jungle, but waiting that long ruined some of the early surprise, right? Everyone's expecting the early 2 gank. Everyone knows that's supposed to happen. If you don't throw it, you can use that surprise to your advantage, sure, but she went to a lane that was already so far shoved back, she couldn't actually get any purchase on it. So in that sense, maybe a bit too conservative with it. I would have much rather seen a gank mid, Zilean blowing his flash early, with no other movement abilities besides a run. I think that'd be super valuable. The fact that she hasn't done it yet, though, means that after the buff, she's going to have a lot of work to do in terms of catching up on that.
Right, and you know, Zilean is a champion that's at least position-wise, a little easier to gank than the Cho'Gath, especially when you combine it. Hang on a second, he's getting stuck up. Kathy Knight does come down. How being assistant combo, the flash forward is there, it forces the flash out. 2 summoners on the side of Jay Chow in priority. That cat has to back off out of that one, and now Phil just trying to keep motion in the top lane here. He's low on mana, and that may be the big question mark to keep an eye on as things move forward. I expect a slower start to this game. I expect a more drawn-out one, just in the fact that it's an Ocean Drake to kick things off in the bottom, and they weren't even particularly motivated to find that first Infernal quickly. So, a teleport coming in. It's also potentially come out from Camille there, but there it is. He's trying to come in. They want to find it, but they just haven't found much damage early on. It's just not a convincing gank in any capacity there, so will just wisely walk right on back out. Doesn't try to stand inside it, doesn't even burn the flash in a hurry. Okay, that one.
Yeah, and ooh, good catch underneath the turret. Heals burned.
Has to stave. I will make it here because that shield really stopping a lot of the potential damage that would come down onto this AV of Carleton University. Not going to be a big deal. Eldry was in the wings, ready to come in if it mattered, but
he isn't 6 yet.
No, I know. So he would have had to fly off over here, and it would have been a little tricky situation. And maybe they could have found, you know, a kill just in the confidence on Braum. If nothing else, would have to passive stack that up. This could be the flash turtle we were talking about. Scott the Caddy doesn't even bother. No, it's like he flashed earlier, but doesn't even have it. They just take that one out and away. And now Eldry trying free level 6 to turn it around. Jay Chow, the rupture was there, but it didn't hit in time. Eldry finished it off. So no advantage for Filth coming down in that one. Didn't get what he wanted with that assist, or potentially just get a takeaway. But you can't just let it go either, right? You can't just say, oh, we can take that, so, or we can take that risk. So with that, that brings our score back to 1-1, relatively even in gold. You want to split hairs, it's about 200 favoring the likes of Carleton University. That's not much at all in the great scheme of things. It looks like it's just that first blood that they got, as opposed to LG turning it around. So it's actually answered back already, and so I mean, as I was going on the monologue about it, it doesn't matter anymore. So no worries.
Well, the good thing is my computer crashed and then came back on. So thank you, Windows, for delivering me both halves of the experience. Great stuff. Well, besides that, I mean, the game looked very interesting until I couldn't see either of the kills happen. So analysis might be a little bit slim on this one.
Okay, well, we'll see. Sorry, excuse me. Voice wearing down just a little bit. We'll see how this one goes. From here, the 1-for-1s. We talked about shutting down Lucian. Haven't really seemed to be able to do that. You know, he's not the hyper carry with 10 kills at 9 minutes yet. He's still sitting on a comfortable 15 CS advantage, which by 7 and some change minutes on the board is unacceptable, right? And so I wonder how much of this just has to deal with the fact that they're playing a lane that they've already played, and you know, the exact same matchup between the Rhino and Carleton. Either way, it doesn't seem to be working for the lack of Cal Poly. I'm curious to see if this is just going to continue to grow here in this bot lane, because if you're Camille, you need to make that gank, you need to turn it around, and they know they can really punish I Will Make It here. Confidence is close to hitting level 6, and once that happens, your window for ganking this lane becomes much slimmer.
Yeah, ganking that lane, I mean, if they can only do it, it'd be fantastic. But it is going to be a bit harder. And the other thing that's going to be a bit more difficult is, if you can't find opportunities there, where are they going to manifest, right? I can't actually answer that yet, but interesting to think about is these two junglers decide to path both towards their Gromps, right? The Nocturne is now past level 6, the Camille still on her engage tools. She's had them for a long time now, but if the Nocturne goes in, Camille has never been on the same side of the map as him when he jungles. So, given the fact that they're basically mirrored in their jungle paths, if this actually happens and it goes down and the Nocturne goes in, it's going to be a 3 versus 2 or a 2 versus 1 no matter what lane he picks, unless the Camille has a major change in the terms of her path.
Yeah, that option is available on the page. You're thinking about it the right way. And so I'm curious to see whether or not that is the same mental process that Cal Poly is bringing to the table. It's still just 1-for-1. Ooh, Glacial Fissure just on the tail end. Not going to catch what it needs. So I actually didn't see if the Rhino was scheduled that one or not. Looked like he was right out of range, so confidence not coming up big in that particular play on the low end, but it does force back their opponents and gives them time to really get the back. I think that's what they wanted out of all this anyway. Still maintaining the 22 CS power crashes. Itemization-wise, that's going to be big as Lucian's picking up some nice party favors here to bring back to lane. It's only BS.
Yeah, I mean, you say only, but you're not wrong. I guess it's only a BF sword. You know, he's... I mean, with 90 CS to 78 CS, 12 CS difference, I still would have much rather seen... And this is actually very interesting.
Trouble for the likes of the mid lane of J-Chow. Eldry finds that one. The resurrection going to be necessary for Scott to capture. Will keep him alive. Denies a kill to Reedy there. With a heads-up play to use that ultimate defensively. We have a 10 gold lead or so favoring Carleton right now. A 1 game lead as well. One more obviously in the series, or trying their best to push it.
Watch the execute.
Totally, yeah. This is careful here.
He's dead.
He's well aware of it. The stun to keep him there just long enough, but the rupture will do it. Buys him the time he needs and still gets it with the mechanical play. That was actually really well played by East Beast just to get that stun right on the edge, almost getting out. But Phil hit the right rupture, and East Beast wasn't ready to dodge away for anything. locked up. They got locked
Holy.
up. That's locked down. Reedy is down out on that one. They get the kill over to this civilian, and the tower will come with it. So just like that, it's a huge swing across the board, as this should get them the Ocean Drake as well.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. Tougher now if you're Cal Poly, right? You're coming to this game, you better have lost as bad early, and then that happens, and that's going to be, we'll see whether or not that shakes the foundation of this team. There's a lot of priority. Take back one in the series, or just fall 2-0. Keep in mind, Cal Poly coming into this undefeated. Carleton has a loss, one blemish on their record. That was Nebraska?
No, to Indiana.
Indiana, right. So apologies to those states. Getting them mixed up. I hate to perpetuate the stereotypes. Either way, one loss on the record. If he pulls out the same record here, then regular season is winding down for CLoL preseason. These are varsity teams. Filth nowhere to get out of this one. This is Flash to get that kill earlier. Stunned under tower. East Beast. Back on the however, they're coming in. They'll show Garrett in some trouble. That's the shield waiting until now to pop. Speaking of waiting until now, this is patient play. The teleport. Bills can't answer. This could be big for the likes of Cal Poly. I will make it happen. Trying to get it. Turning around. Trying to make the play here. Can he get it? East Beast low. That's yes. The Lucian comes in with the kill. The double stun from Cinder though. J Chow is there. Not able to follow up on the confidence. Hopping back in. Relatively low health. The shield was patient last time. He cannot afford patience with it. Now it is off cooldown again. And they really want to stick around for the siege. I can't say I agree with this one.
They just don't have enough damage, right? The problem is they still can't actually take down this turret in a reasonable amount of time. They have a Lucian and a Nocturne, neither of which are competent, but they're looking for a dive instead.
That's another one taken down as Garrett will leave out of this one. J Chow. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The tower can't save you from the distance there. Scott the Cat picks up a huge one as all 5 members of Carleton make a surprise holiday visit to the bot lane. They say, hey, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving in your lane this week. We brought the damage as dessert.
Yeah, this is a pretty clean game so far, and it looks like it's going to become a little bit harder for the side of Cal Poly to get back in, right? They've got themselves down nearly 5k. Maybe a catch under the Nocturne is what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, Eldry wanted to get out of that one, fleed just
What a
the
flash.
right second. And the flash got him out of that one. It was timing on both counts that made the mechanical play happen for the jungler of Carleton this time around. Maintained the 2-8 scoreline. He was unblemished in his deaths thus far. Only deaths on solo. Everyone's got 2 kills except for Confidence. The Braum actually not participating as highly in kills as you might think. Only 3 assists. Nowhere near his assist record of last game. So, any teams that may be looking at Carleton in the future here, you know, that might be a weak point. You can get coming off the way. You have such an impressive showing. But hey, is a little bit more vulnerable. Obviously, they've not been able to get killed. They've not been able to get killed in the bot lane. But you have to wonder if a stronger bot lane in particular would not be able to take more advantage.
But remember, they've already taken the bot lane turret now. After the mid lane has fallen as well, they only have top lane remaining for outers, I believe. And they still have some time for that, right? Oh, another engaged Nocturne.
Yeah, they got out last time. They are knocking them around on the other side of this one to try to get out the Julian whole team down. Now Polly gets the sneak, and that means Scott the Cat is down. That's also going to be Confidence finding his first death of the game, and they will easily be able to shut down the remaining Nocturne. Not able to get out. Eldry falls. And that should be this mid lane tower coming now to the credit of Cal Poly. Looks like they might want to split, get this Rift Herald, or maybe just shove Lucian back off. They do have some options. They are crashing away. This is a nice pickup for them, but we'll see what ends up coming out of it besides just the kills. No one need to respawn.
Yeah, this should be, I mean, the Rift Herald is great to pick up, right? Cal Poly find an excellent fight, 5 versus 3. They're the ones with catch this time, but maybe they still go down. Watch out for that true damage Nom. It could be big, it could be here. He's still pursuing, and I think he wants this, but he's walking into a 1 versus 4. If he isn't careful, he gets the Nom here, though.
Yeah, there it is. Garrett Lou going down. This the Culling gets Reedy in a bad position. Now here's Phil to try to capitalize. Confidence is there. They don't need it. I will make it happen anyway. He's gonna get answered back. That is 2 kills to the Lucian. You talked about shutting him down early. I think that's all but a forlorn hope at this point. A distant dream for the likes of Cal Poly is this guy. He's made it. He is 4-0 at 2. The Lucian is online. And this spells trouble.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't really spell trouble so much as just kind of shout it in your face. And that's because once the Lucian has gold, once he has damage, what can you actually do? You just have to wait, you have to stall out, try to play for that super late game, and the meta really doesn't favor those kinds of things. It doesn't favor the super late game, it doesn't allow you to just get there eventually, you know what I mean? That's not what it's trying to do. It's trying to end the game before you have a chance to do any of that. And so, what they have to do is a monumental task. They have to stall out, they have to stop the game where it currently rests, maybe get a couple advantages, small ones across the map, but more importantly, get that farm up. 135 or that is 134, right? On the server? 124?
We're looking at, 127. 29 now, yeah.
At 17 minutes, it's just not good enough, right? If you only have 1 death, that should be up 150, 160, right? These guys are good enough to do that. You need to prioritize that lane, prioritize the gold, give her what she needs, and allow her to carry you in the super late game, right? Doesn't matter where your mid game carries go, doesn't matter how much farm they get, because all they have to do is clear waves and disincentivize the Carleton side from engaging. That's all they need to do, right? Clear, make sure they don't engage on you, that's it. If they do that, the Sivir eventually gets 6 items, she instant kills the Cho'Gath, and they have no front line left. That's all that needs to happen, but it requires so much more game time. We're talking another 20 to 23 minutes on the clock in order for the Sivir to happen.
We need to find a way to get there, and you look at that competition and wonder what those perverse incentives might look like. And I mean, it really comes down to if Jay Chow could nail the right Sivir stun there. Not Sivir stun, Syndra stun, sorry, there. But mechanically, I think it's such a tall order, especially now. Rift Herald causing a lot of pressure from this bottom mode. We'll get another charge out of this one right on through.
They should get another turret.
Tower, yeah, the Syndra can back
And so the problem is, I said you need to let them farm, but you can't just let them take turrets also.
Yeah, no, super minions, while, a great minion delivery system, don't exactly,
they don't bode well for base health or core health either. Right? That's the real problem. If your Ancient isn't actually healthy, you can't do anything about it. Right? You just lose. So, in that sense, what they need to do is they need to be saying, okay, take your time, wait for that, but don't wait too long. Wave clear. Use your Syndra wave clear. Step a little bit out, and make sure they don't just get to hit turrets for free. Just try and do it.
So far, they don't have the Rift Herald anymore, but they do have the wave priority. They'll really take a beating here. He's so fast. Another step around. Trying to get him to blow some stick. Still shot on the I will make it. He's gonna maybe go down the speed there to bail him out. They know they should get the final tap if they want to. Shot out of there. Is the paranoid and he is shut down by that one. That's another one from Neil. Gets that Reedy has it himself. I will make it. Has the health back this time, and that means that's a kill down. Confidence actually gets it onto Garrett Lou, and a little bit of a support of slap down coming out for himself there. So it's a 2 for 2 at the end of the day. With preservation by Carleton to hold it out, Cal Poly. I like the proactivity that I saw from them there. They need a little bit more of that. They didn't quite go their way. They got a little bit, slammered on the re-engage. And you have to wonder if they maybe could have backed off at the right time, given themselves a little bit of a chance to just take the win and get back to holding their days. Change up some of this vision that they really need to fix in their bottom side of the map right now. Maybe get ready for Baron as well. Make sure that's not a pressured threat. But instead, they do opt for just the kills, so that's going to send everyone back pretty evenly. A relatively overall game scale. Really spiking off that one. Killing bomb on that one. Cho'Gath, another one for Beast and Reedy a piece. I don't think that's going to really slam them online either, so consequences of that fight, not as big. It's just maybe a second of three and get some vision back around this Baron for Cal Poly, but I don't know if they can fight it.
Again, it's just about the overall stall rate. In my eyes, it's about how long can we stall? How long does it matter? And small fight advantages, sure you're not going to win off it, but that's just more time, right? More time on the clock, longer game plan. This is... I've played in so many of these compositions, right? Where it's about the long scale-out fight. And in terms of Five's gameplay, these are the hardest ones to pull off. When you're already losing a game, when you need to stall out, you just get so greedy and you overcommit.
This could be the overcommit coming through on either side. Beast could be getting out of that one. Will wants to get through. Wrong delivery system, not where it needs to be here. That's okay for the side of Carleton. They have the Lucian in the top lane. He's just been shoving his wave the whole time. It means Baron priority. Still there, despite the vision looking good from Cal Poly. They want to try to turn this onto the Cho'Gath, but not enough. This is something I was not critical of in lane, but I had a lot of question marks. I wanted to show that looks now like the story, the lane Cho'Gath really wasn't what they cared about. They might have a longer game on their hands based on the competition. Hey, you know what? We know Bill can just stack this one out, stay safe, and do that. This is where that Cho'Gath is really coming online. Really starting to look like a big benefit to this team because he's just been, the punching bag for Cal Poly. It doesn't matter. It's on him. Not really set to Cal Poly. Close.
Okay.
That's going to be Doctor going down. They want to find a little bit more Lucian as well. Confidence going to have to flash out of that one, but they might be able to follow through. It's a nice stun for Jay Chow to get the killing spree. And Confidence will go down. So only Filth coming out with that Baron. It's a 4-death takeaway. Cal Poly feeling great about that. Maybe able to actually turn this one into much of their favor as the first tower is coming out for him here.
That was absolutely perfect, right? The Baron goes down, Raise the Camille comes through. They know that they've lost the Smite Steal, but at that moment, they realize that Lucian is so far out of the pit, he can't actually help much. And so what they do is they engage further. The Aurelia comes in, huge disarm onto so many members, kills off the backline, the Cho'Gath dies, the Braum goes down, sorry, Cho'Gath doesn't die, the Braum goes down, Zillion drops, the Lucian falls, I mean everybody you could ever want, except for the big beef tank, has gone down. So at that sense, it's fantastic. This is exactly the fight they wanted. It takes the Baron buff, which would have prevented their stall, and makes it so much less potent.
Right.
They can only do one lane of minions, maximum, and that's it. So in that sense, it's much easier for them to defend now, even though they still have a very, very magic damage heavy wave clear comp. It's still fantastic. It's still a very, very beneficial thing for them so far, and we'll see if they can get a bit more out of this, but I don't expect them to get the steal. That is not the case. With Cho'Gath there, it's just too harsh. Actually, I believe Cho'Gath did not have buff either. We can take a look, but yeah, isn't that Baron buff?
Yeah, he has Cho'Gath has a Baron.
Barely.
Yeah.
It's so hard to see
It
through
is
his
hard to
massive
see.
torso.
That buff will just keep stacking and stacking and stacking.
You'd think that would scale with the staff, but
Yeah,
it just isn't. Yeah.
Either way, I think yourself there, but not you because you're either way, I do.
I would if I could, but I can't, so I shan't.
Well, there you go.
That's just about it. And if rhyming couplets aren't helping you out, if that's not your cup of tea, then I apologize, but realistically, this game is going to go a bit longer, right? The way that it's playing out, I think that, oh my god, they're stopping it.
They want to go with greedy, so greedy for this one, but it actually has to be resurrected on the run here. This is troublesome. Now, the paranoia is down. They thought they could get him without the village, but he's already able to wander in. It's going to be bad news. You found already for Carleton. Can they get more? Carleton does drop, it doesn't matter. Beast is out of the picture here, but no, I will make it down on the back line. Rhino with this Sivir staying alive. What else can he do? Bill is there.
Nothing.
Yeah.
He's just gone. Watch the Cho'Gath chase.
this is bad news for the likes of Cal Poly. They won such a great fight earlier. They had a massive engage, but it just wasn't enough. They only killed the bot lane of Carleton. It looked like Superstar
That was-
killed his point, but
Did we
even
mention
God's complete.
that it was going really, really well? And the only way that you really lose these sorts of games is over-aggression, especially after defeating Baron buff like that. Well, we just saw it there, right? Overcommittal by the Aurelia. A very well-played fight by Carleton, actually. They recognize the fact that Aurelia is overcommitted and they don't have the damage follow-up to kill anybody. So it didn't matter that the Zillion wasn't there. They just spread out, waited for the Zillion. Even if one member goes down, still not too tragic. They do so.
Yeah, they get They burn the teleport for it, can't find any more off, especially whether that's worthwhile. That teleport will have to come into play, I'm sure, sooner rather than later. With very solid station for any reasonable amount of time, but it will still spawn before that teleport is off cooldown. And that's when things could get questionable for East Beast. With that decision, you have to say, okay, was the one kill we got onto Eldry, onto that Nocturne, worth it? And I don't think the answer is yes. Now's the time for Cal Poly to really be resetting some of this vision. They've done a decent amount of damage with that card. So you have to be careful as all members happy and healthy now for Carleton are coming in. Trying to regain territorial control. They do that pretty well this team by advancing their robots into the sounds like they want to attack. It's textbook, but everyone's on the same page about it, and that's a lot harder to communicate in real time than you might think. Plenty of people, even one person, not living up to the way they should. And, creates issues with that. You never know if the in-game leader is telling everyone, okay, you place a ward here, you place a ward here, you place a ward here.
For the most part, at least for... And granted, it's only been, you know, semi-high level amateur and some 5 experience in the collegiate scene. It's, you say, okay, we're advancing our ward line, and everybody calls a ward spot, right? Everyone knows the wards at this level, everyone expected to know the wards, and so then it's pretty much at that point just saying who's got which one as you go forwards. Some people say, oh, I don't have a ward, you know? And if that happens, you get yelled at, and then they tell you to back and buy a ward. Totally never happened to me though. Never. Absolutely never.
Block progress, that's not a contested point right now, so regardless.
With that though, I mean, this is a pretty big siege. If you want to take a look at how it's going to go down, the stall is not going to happen unless they find stuns onto somebody that's not Cho'Gath. If they find stun onto Cho'Gath, it just doesn't matter, and they have to be careful of the Nocturne as well. So once the Nocturne goes in here, and he will go in, as soon as they commit, the Sivir is going to die. The Sivir is literally going to instantly die once the Nocturne goes in.
Yeah, I would not be surprised, especially with Flash being up for Filth there, to just get right in. All members they're just waiting on waves, and that's a fine position to be in as long as the inhibitor is still down, right? Mid lane, still just the pressure, and look at the build-up. Well, vision-wise, it's great. Hard to think about half of this power. Everything else is not back. While maybe the last fight he really kicked off on for this potential start of the next one. That's the pair when it comes down to 3-man stun. But Alistair pretty low here. He's taking a beating as well. There's just still a health bar that struggles for it. But again, in this dance that was just time, things going well enough for Carleton. At least they were before they lost confidence. But he goes down that time, and that's not really taking the same up. They're trying to find more. They're still back up with a double stun. The deterrent to keep them out of this one, in particular 4 members of Carleton going on back, and that's not a good position to be in once the Baron has gone down, or Baron's come up. I apologize. Good news, they have the clock.
Oh, Cho'Gath might have overstayed. They don't really want to commit though, right? Knowing where the Lucian is, if they do commit, it could be extremely dangerous.
Also, East Beast, bot side of the map, no TP here. Has cleared enough time, so we talked about that initial situation where we might be worried. Teleport, did a block to take a block. All the sides. All he has to do, shove out the mid lane, make sure that those 2 rings are a non-factor, and stay competitive around this objective. Reedy's health beat up just a little bit, but not too bad. Same for the mana of the Rhino here. Another fight. The teleport. Dragon for free. I would think it does. Track of this and
Respawning soon.
Game slowed down quite a bit.
Yeah, it really has, and that's, again, super beneficial to the side of Cal Poly, right? The fact that the game slowed down, even with the mistakes, even with the over-aggression, is just great for them. They're just waiting on the Sivir, they're waiting for so long, they still have another 3 items to go. And that seems like forever, especially because of the gold, you know, and the fact that she's only at 230 CS, so maybe it's insurmountable, but at this time, it's still it's within reaching distance. Not easy reach. You know, you have to full extend and stretch, but
They're back up, Baron on the tables. Whether or not this is something that Carleton are comfortable threatening. They pretty much threatened the Baron exactly in the face of a forthcoming Cal Poly team. They said, "We dare you to try to stop this." Well, Cal Poly threw down the blood and answered back. Carleton more. You know, they might have gained that trap up. That is the paranoia as well. He's half elf. He's out to fight for his stand. Elf against that one. Ultimate gets the kill on the Reedy. He's okay. That's what they're expecting. There's going to be another one coming down. So I know certainly not going to be able to get on the one. And Garrett Liu is taken down out and away as well, and that very well may be the game, as they just need to go through this inhibitor. They don't have minions yet, but I think they have the damage to just knock down these towers and build. Can just chew through a lot of this game. Be the punching bag they needed to be for as long as they needed to be it right now. They have 15 seconds on J-Chow. That's certainly going to do it. And 2-0. Carleton will take game number 2. We'll take this series and hand Cal Poly their first loss of the season. (22-15) is the final score on that game. The final takeaway. 33 minutes on the button. 9 towers to 2. About a 9-10k gold advantage. So metrics looking great for Carleton there. It took them a little longer this time. The game a little slower in terms of at least the bloodbath that we saw. But they drafted their composition well for it, played it out, and they do take this series 2-0. You still with me, Zeta? Well, it appears we may have lost the one and only Jeff Zeta Beta Schnurr.
apparently the game ended while I was gone, so
Yeah.
that happens.
Yes, it did. Yeah. They just crashed right on through. Probably similar to your computer, and
Yeah,
kicked
no
down the
kidding.
door. Well, it happens.
I guess I did
us.
witness it then, in a sense.
Yeah, in a way. So with that, they're going to take a nice victory on the board here, and feel pretty good about themselves. Now we do have an interview standing by potentially. We'll get ready for that. Which means we will have to say goodbye to the one and only Jeff Zeta Schnurr. That's at Zeta Beta on Twitter if you want to give him a follow. Any closing thoughts before we wind up the night, Jeff?
Carleton played simultaneously better and worse than expected at the same time. Their drafting, I think, was very clean. It was very representative of the current meta. They practiced the current meta very well. But overall execution had many, many flaws. They're going to need to look at those. They're going to need to study them and say, okay, where did we go wrong? How did we almost lose both of these games, right? We had such a commanding lead. We had such a good draft. How can we possibly be throwing like this? And Cal Poly, all they got to say is, we draft a little more on meta. We win those games, right?
Right.
Get a little bit better AD, a little bit more forward-focused, and it's a win.
Well, I'm going to be feeling pretty good about that win overall. Curious, too. I think it's going to be one of my interview questions, is asking about that loss to Indiana and how that looked. But either way, now both teams tied record 4 wins, 1 loss on the season thus far. So pretty strong contention. We'll see how that does continue. But either way, Zeta, thanks for everything on the cast tonight. We're going to go ahead and try to set up the interview with the coordinator of Carleton University, and that is, of course, the one and only the Lost Boy. Going to be giving him a call here on Discord, and we'll see whether or not he can join us here. So we did set this up beforehand. He does know that we're coming. So going to
Hello.
Hey, we got you here,
What's up?
Lost Boy.
Yeah, it's me.
How are you doing? Do you have a camera?
I do. Yeah. Let me just.
Toss that
How do
on.
There you go.
And do you have before we set up this interview, do you have a Twitter we can be plugging below here?
Oh yeah, sure. I think it's the Lost Boy, but with zero, like the Lost Boy.
L0ST?
Yeah, that. That's
Okay.
me. It's my camera work.
I don't have it yet. It's just loading out. We'll see if it comes in. Either way, while that is loading up, if you want to try to start it, stop it. I'm seeing black.
Okay, I'm trying to load it up now.
Sure. While we start that, I do have a couple questions I want to hit you with. So first off, congratulations on the win, the 2-0 against an undefeated team. Your team looked very polished coming into this, so I'm sure that has to feel good, kind of getting the W here tonight. What was your preparation like for this team in particular, knowing that okay, hey, Cal Poly, a school familiar with esports, is undefeated?
Our preparation was kind of similar to just most weeks. I mean, we approach every week the same way, which is kind of just going over what our ideal play is, and then going over kind of what their preferred champions are, and how we can take exactly what we want to play and make sure that it works against what they're thinking of playing. And I think we tried to go into every set, feeling good about ourselves personally. And so when we're feeling good, we're playing well enough. And I think overall it was just about like understanding the meta, which we were doing. We were able to understand pretty well. So preparation didn't really shift too much. I mean, I saw that they were like 4-0, and that was a little it was intimidating at first, but I mean, we made a roster swap midway through the season, and our team's changed a lot since then.
Who was that?
So we switched out our jungler for we had an old jungler, but Eldry came in, and he's just really improved the environment for the team a lot. He's a really positive guy. He knows how to play the champions that I'm happy putting him on, and he plays them really well. Just as a side note, my Twitter name, there's an underscore between the and Lost, and then Lost and Boy as well. I just realized that.
Okay,
My
got it.
bad.
Well, we'll
Thank
update
you.
that very quickly and
Much
easily.
appreciated.
Yeah, production gives me a lot of tools to
Perfect.
It used to be just like fixed assets, so like we were out of luck. But no, that is good. Okay, so let's define quickly your official role, because I introduced you as the coordinator for Carleton University.
Yeah.
It sounds like you, from what you've just said, kind of extended to some coaching thereafter. Am I right in that?
Yeah, I coach and coordinate the
Team dad?
Yeah, pretty much team dad. Find their scrims, draft their comps with a little bit of help, and I also work with the junior varsity team really closely. We kind of I'm a C9 fan as far as LCS is concerned,
Okay.
and I kind of tried to with Carleton this year. We're trying to run a sort of C9-esque thing where we're trying to incorporate both a varsity and an academy team, and trying to see if we can rotate players in and out, and trying to make good fits and stuff like that. And for playoffs right now, we think we found a pretty good fit for teams, and yeah, so my role has just been coaching and managing it.
Okay. I see you still working on the camera, by the way. It's not being used by another app like OBS or anything right now, is it? Because that same thing.
I don't think it is. I'm just trying to look.
Ooh,
It's just,
your mic switched to the camera. I can hear that.
oh, okay, that's not good. Let me
Yeah.
switch that back.
Well, while you get that figured out, sounds like you have a lot on your plate as far as kind of managing this team. What does the rest of the support staff look like at Carleton? Is it just you and the players here? Is it kind of 6v the world, or are there other people kind of in this machine, other cogs spinning out to help you out here?
So I've been, I'll say I've been pretty blessed with a pretty good support staff. So we have, something that I've thought that's been super helpful is we actually have a sports psychologist. So there's a psychology student at Carleton who plays league, and I've known her for 2 years now, and she expressed an interest to kind of be there for our teams and kind of improve the morale and try and see if we can help each players out. And it's honestly helped players a lot. We have meetings just on mental health and being able to stick into the play these games through and really give it our all constantly. And I think it's really helped a lot. Yeah, she's actually in the chat right now, so it's good to see she's up with me right now.
Committed, motivated.
Yeah, committed. And
so-
we also have lots of laning coaches as well.
Okay.
So players from last year's team, because I coached last year's Carleton team,
Okay.
who expressed interest in just kind of sticking around to help the newer people, because a lot of our players are first or second years are not
Nice.
really
So young
used to
team.
team environments. Yeah, young team, young Carleton team.
Sure. What is the school's official position on esports? Are you a club? Are you an official varsity roster?
So we're actually we're part of TESPA.
Okay.
We have our own TESPA chapter,
Right.
TESPA Carleton, pretty big actually as far as TESPA chapters are concerned. I mean, I know our Discord has over like 1,500 people
lot.
active
Yeah.
in it. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty big. We actually we have pretty solid teams all around in most sports. I mean, I know our Smite team won, or no, it wasn't Smite. It was our Smite team went to a tournament this past weekend, and then.
So I know for a fact because I saw it live. I actually cast the finals at QuakeCon. Your Quake team just decimated the entire season. Won Bethesda's entire Quake tournament. And it was something like $25,000 in scholarship money for those two players. So man,
that's pretty crazy.
They really did run it down. So some popular esports at your school.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, I know it's been here for about. I've been a part of TESPA for about 2 years now, but it's been pretty cool. It's a fun experience, and I think our school is slowly getting more and more on board with it. I mean, we all talk about how we wish we had the support and the the money that some of these
big schools, right?
American schools have with their entire huge rooms, but unfortunately we aren't that lucky. But
So
it's slow.
You touched on something I wanted to get to. You're a Canadian program. There are some big name schools for League of Legends in Canada.
Yep.
So with those guys, just give me the context. Where does your university as a whole rank in things like student population and overall academic reputation? I guess would be the word.
So Carleton usually ranks among some of the higher schools. I mean, I know there's a like University of Ottawa. It's very program based. I know that the University of Ottawa has an insane science program, to my knowledge. But Carleton's business program is far and above. But and then the same thing with Carleton's like computer science is really big here at Carleton, but it's not as big at these other universities. But I know. I think the last time I checked, like when I first applied to go to Carleton, my main reasoning for choosing Carleton over Ottawa U was, I forget, I think it was one of those Forbes magazines or whatever. They had like the top Canadian schools, and Carleton ranked 10 spots above Ottawa U, and I was like, I got accepted to both. I'll take the better school at that point. But I know it's yeah, exactly. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I know as far as League of Legends is concerned, you have UBC, you have U Toronto, and we're really close with the Ottawa U guys as well. So I've met Zeri a couple times, and the rest of the U Ottawa guys. I saw them. I watched the ABGL tournament this weekend, right before we had preparing for our games and stuff, and it was pretty cool to see them play super well that they did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have one loss, kind of blemishing your record here. That was to an Indiana team. What happened in that series of games, and do you feel like if you had to play them again, because obviously we have no context as the stream, we never saw that one happen.
Yeah. So I think the first issue was the team was still fairly fresh. Like we had closed up signups a little late just because we wanted to make sure we got as much talent as we could
Mm-hmm.
for varsity and the junior varsity team,
Right.
And we had, like I said, we switched out our jungler, and we
Mhm.
had lots of issues between the jungle and the rest of the map. He was they just weren't on the same page. The jungle had one idea, and the rest of the map had another idea, and
Sure.
so communication was just all over the place, and the gameplay was just not on, like, no one was on the same page, and also confidence, our support, was also playing off a laptop rather than his usual setup, because that
Mm-hmm.
was our reading week, so he went home for the reading week, so we were at a little bit of a disadvantage there. But
Sure.
I think definitely, if we had the chance to play again, we could, because I just think, like, I know, as far as like the C Star League and stuff like that is concerned, the Cal Poly was ranked at number 10
Mm-hmm.
as far as universities go, and I think lots of people sleep on Carleton often, which I'm cool with. I don't mind
Sure.
being
Play
the
the underdog.
underdog, and yeah, I don't mind it. It's pretty fun to be the underdog and then watch games like tonight happen and see us take wins and stuff like that. Because I know we can, and I
Mm.
know that both, like, the varsity team and junior varsity team put in a lot of work to make sure that they're representing the school well. So I think if we had a chance to face off against Intica, as their name is, which I like, it's a pretty funny name, I think we could definitely take the win this time.
Gotcha. Well, I like to hear the confidence coming out. So I
Hmm.
got a couple more questions before we wrap this up.
Yeah, sure.
Who plays the in-game leader role, or is there one for your roster?
So there's definitely an in-game leader. uh I don't know if I want to.
Yeah,
Well,
it's fine.
I
If you
mean,
if you can decline that question entirely, you don't want target camps sitting
it's
there. You say,
I won't target it, but
sure, okay,
I spoke at length with the current leader of the team, and it was something that I had to really convince them that would be something that I thought that they would be good at. And last year I tried the same thing with a player. It did not work. It had the opposite effect. The player just felt too much stress, and
hmm,
it kind of hurt the team a little bit. But this year, the player who's currently calling the shots says that, well, not calling the shots, but trying to make the whole team get on the same page constantly. He's really well respected by the team, and the team likes that there's a central voice they can listen to. And I think at least having a captain for your teams is super important. The junior varsity team has the same thing, and
sure.
the captains are genuinely respected by their players, and it's nice to have, for sure.
Well, all right. So looking at this was the round of 64, the first
Hmm.
knock on the door of playoffs. You're advancing to the round of 32. That's 32, 16, then 8, then
Mm.
4, then 2. 5 potential matches remain ahead of you. You've taken out a big jump coming into this. What do you know first off who you're facing in the round of 32 yet?
Yes, we're facing University of Florida, who is ranked 8th on that C Star League list.
Okay, the Gators. All right. So
Hmm.
curious to see
Yeah,
how that one
it's
does pan out. Have
it'll
you
be
already started preparation
interesting.
for that?
Well, that said, actually already happened.
Did it?
Wait, yes,
Uh,
it did.
you've already played the Gators.
Yes, we played the Gators.
Okay.
This is yes.
Hmm.
So
Ahead
yeah,
in the schedule a little bit. Like, did y'all agree to an earlier time, or was that
yeah,
just
we agreed to an earlier time. Cal Poly and us.
right?
we
Obviously, had to.
we yeah we kind of had a feeling. I don't know, going into this week, we had a feeling that maybe we could take the games, and we spoke to a couple CSL people, and we
Just
were
advance it
able
early.
to work it out. Yeah, we were able to advance it up a little quicker, and so we were able to 2-0 Florida as well.
Okay, wow. So you're
So
already so you're in the top 16 already then.
yep.
Well, congratulations
Pretty.
on that, Carlton.
Thank you, thank you.
Throwing
Yeah,
some respect around here. So, all right. Well, with
thank you very
that,
much. Yeah.
that's all the questions I have. I do want to ask at the end though. Is there anything that you wished I'd touched on? Anything that you wanted to talk about here that you didn't
Um.
get to?
Uh, Not really. I mean, I just want, I know most of my players are still up watching the games, both varsity, junior varsity, coaching staff, stuff like that. I,
Mm-hmm.
I wanna I wanna give a shout out to all them, because
Sure.
the players been working really hard, and like I said, both junior varsity and the varsity teams get slept on so often, and especially at Carleton this year, and I'm okay if we continuously get slept on. If it means more games like this happen where, we're able to just show everyone that we have we're a school to be,
Sure. To be
you
feared,
know,
respected,
to be feared. Yeah,
prepped
exactly.
against,
And
right?
respected. And I'm pretty new to coaching, but it's good to have players who believe in me and who trust the drafts that are happening and can provide input to me as well. And I just got lots of praise for the players and coaching staff as well. It's been fun so far, and I'm looking forward to round of 16 moving forward.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this interview this evening. Hope
you very
to,
much
to
as
maybe
well for
see a
having
little
me.
bit more of you guys in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me
Sure.
again, and I appreciate it. And sorry about my webcam not
Oh,
working.
it happens. We'll figure that out for next time.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we do want to thank and congratulate Carleton University and the Lost Boy on their tremendous win tonight. Moving forward, round of 16 yet ahead. That, of course, does eliminate Cal Poly SLO and, spoiler alert, the Florida Gators as well from contention in this. So things starting to heat up a little bit. We, of course, have more League of Legends action coming out through the rest of the playoffs. You heard it right. There's 5 matches remaining in this CLoL preseason for the varsity teams. That, of course, means that probably about 5 more weeks of that. We'll see, what we intersperse with varsity and JV as it does all come about. But in the meantime, we are going to wrap up, wish all of our American players in the United States a happy Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, or actually, if you're on the East Coast like me, it is Thanksgiving officially today as we just crossed midnight. So with that, we'll let everyone get to their break. Wish you a safe holiday full of all sorts of good food, friends, family, and everyone and everything important in your life. That, of course, is coming from the C Star League, Collegiate Star League. We hope that you all stay well over this holiday season as we do continue to go into it. We'll be back with more League of Legends action this next Monday, which I can check the calendar here, is going to be November the 26th. Same time, same place, as it does come down to 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern, Mondays and Wednesdays, with more League of Legends action to come. So we'll see you then. Have a great holiday in the meantime.
Cause we won't be back again. Say goodbye.